Welcome to Kansas Ag Report with your host, Brian Holman.
Welcome to Kansas Ag Report. I'm Brian Holman, and here's our lineup for today's show. In Ag News, we'll take a look at local and national headlines affecting Kansas farmers. In our Ag Feature, we visit with Carrie Weefall from KDA to talk about international exports, as well as an upcoming trip to Mexico to discuss trade. And inside Kansas Ag, KDA talks to us about Kansas Agriculture Month, and Kansas Wheat discusses herbicides. And in News You Need to Know, we get our weekly update from the Kansas Livestock Association, look back at last week's market activity with the guys from Paragon, and we'll let you know about important events coming up around the state of Kansas. Glad you could join us.
Closed captioning brought to you by
The Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers. KansasSoybeans.org.
Ag Risk Solutions. Experience, knowledge, integrity. Your crop insurance solution, Ag Risk Solutions. Kansas Wheat Commission. Leaders in the adoption of profitable innovations for wheat. Online at kswheat.com. Kansas Livestock Association. Supporting our members' business interests to meet consumers' demands. KLA.org.
Here's our national headlines for this week in Ag News. The Purdue CME Group Ag Economy Barometer fell in February after 3 months of strong gains. The barometer dropped nearly 20 points to 134 after January's record high of 153. The director of Purdue's Center for Commercial Agriculture says uncertainty is surrounded around U.S. trade policy. The survey asked producers to rate the importance of ag exports to the U.S. economy. 93% responded that ag exports were important or very important to the U.S. economy, and 80% said ag exports were important to their individual farms. A commercial chicken breeding operation in south central Tennessee has tested positive for low pathogenic avian influenza. This operation is operated by a different company from one associated to a detection of high pathogen avian influenza. At this time, officials do not believe one infected the other. As a precaution, the infected flock has been depopulated and the premises is under quarantine. Poultry within a 6-mile radius of the site are also under quarantine and are being monitored and tested. U.S. agriculture export value for the first 4 months of the fiscal year, October through January, is $53.8 billion. That puts U.S. exports in a very strong position compared to fiscal year 2016, said Bryce Cook, a trade analyst with U.S. Department of Agriculture. USDA figures indicate almost every U.S. agriculture product is selling better than a year ago, including corn. Export values for soybeans are up 29% since a year ago. Wheat exports are up 18%, and red meat exports are up 19%. In a local news, Governor Sam Brownback signed Executive Order 1701 to assist fire relief efforts throughout the state. Governor Brownback declared a state of emergency on March 5th. The fires have now burned more than 626,000 acres and ranks as the largest fire event in the state history. In Clark County alone, 85% of the county's land mass has been burned. Executive Order 1701 facilitates the immediate delivery of large quantities of hay, feed, fencing materials, and other relief supplies by waiving certain motor carrier regulations. The Kansas Department of Health and Environment encourages farmers and ranchers who have lost livestock in the ongoing wildfires to contact the agency as soon as possible for assistance with disposing of dead livestock. KDHE's Bureau of Waste Management can help farmers and ranchers determine the safest and most effective means of livestock disposal. Contact Ken Powell at 785-296-1121 or ken.powell@ks.gov for details. Governor Pete Ricketts directed the Nebraska State Patrol last week to temporarily waive certain requirements for trucks traveling in and through Nebraska in support of efforts to aid citizens of Kansas impacted by wildfires. The governor's chief of staff said there is likely to be an increased number of trucks carrying hay and livestock, and this temporary waiver will expedite efforts to provide assistance to victims of wildfires. You're watching Kansas Ag Report. Please stay tuned.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Livestock Association, supporting our members' business interests to meet consumers' demands. KLA.org. Oldie Seed Farms, carrying soil-specific seed. Find them on the web at oldieseed.com. That's OHLDE seed.com. Grass and Grain, online or in the mail, keeping Kansas farmers informed for over 60 years. Grassandgrain.com. Kansas Wheat Commission, leaders in the adoption of profitable innovations for wheat. Online at kswheat.com.
Imagine having someone help you pick the best corn hybrids for every field on your farm. Your Oldie representative can combine your data with his data to offer a field-by-field prescription. Contact Oldie Seed today at 877-692-4555.
This Medford, New Jersey school bus runs on biodiesel, and so do these. In fact, all of these buses run on clean-burning biodiesel, which is great because the more we use biodiesel in our heavy-duty vehicles, the less carbon pollution in our air. Think how great it would be if more of our school buses ran on biodiesel. More biodiesel, less carbon pollution. More is less. Biodiesel, America's advanced biofuel.
You need a partner that you can count on to be there for your business. Providing a depth of understanding to risk management issues so you don't have to. A knowledgeable support team located in your area, delivering products and services to make you more successful.
The producer-funded Kansas Wheat Innovation Center was built to get improved varieties into the hands of farmers faster. Kansas Wheat, farmers advancing their future through wheat genetics research.
Thanks for staying with us. We're at the KDA office. We're joined by Karen. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you. Thanks for coming.
You're welcome. International trade is so important to Kansas farmers. We were just talking before we started shooting, and $3.3 billion last year. That's a big number.
It is. It is. When you look at our overall economy and you think $3.3 billion originates from agriculture commodity trade, it's huge. It's huge. And, trade does matter in agriculture because as we look as a country, we export about $150 billion in agriculture commodities across the globe. So looking at Kansas, that $3.3 billion goes to about 98 countries globally. So our top three, just for our viewers, just for curiosity, our top three trade partners are Mexico, followed by Japan, and then Canada. So no major surprise just because transportation north and south, and we have a lot of bilateral trade with Canada and Mexico. But then when we also take a look at the commodity categories, we might not have too much surprise when we look. Our top is our meats and raw materials that are exported out of our state, cereal grains, and oil seeds. So those are our top three categories. So we have the three trade partners at our top, but we also have commodities that are harvested within our state that go into different types of USAID rations globally. So we're going direct to consumer in some cases, but we're going indirectly through US food aid going into some of our countries that maybe don't export as much, but the USDA does position our commodities and maximize outlets across the globe.
Perfect. You guys just got back from Russia, but again, we were talking before we started shooting. One of the things that kind of surprised me was cattle genetics. I mean, that is a really big business for the state of Kansas.
Yep. The Midwest, we're really lucky. We have a lot of cattle producers in the Midwest that just raise superior livestock and superior genetics. And we've had a long-lasting relationship with Russia in terms of trade. Russia's technically and historically been a very good trade partner through 2014 when President Putin at that time issued some strict trade restrictions on agriculture commodities. And I want to just go back about 4 to 5 years ago. A Russian company, this is probably our most successful trade relationship, a company called Miratorg started purchasing live cattle and also genetics from Midwestern states. And Kansas was a state where Miratorg chose to select Black Angus genetics and live cattle. It was the goal of Miratorg to become self-sustainable in Russia. So over the past 5 years, Miratorg has been growing small farms of Angus beef, black label beef cattle, and are now at a point where they have their farms established, and you can experience the Black Angus label in Miratorg stores in Moscow. So it's a neat idea.
Right.
That was one thing that we did get to see. We had a trip in February to Moscow where we took travelers from across the state in partnership with United States Livestock Genetic Export, and then our STEP program, which is our State Trade and Export Promotion. We were able to go, we represented our state at AgriFarm, which is a huge livestock animal trade show in Moscow. And then we also were able to go on a retail tour, so looking in a high-end retail all the way to an open-air market on how meat and meat products are merchandised within the Russian market. And then we also visited a dairy north of Moscow and toured a processing where they did high-end yogurts, drinkable yogurts, different types of milks into the Russian and Moscow market specifically.
Perfect. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the next trip coming up at the end of the month. We're watching Kansas Ag Report. We'll see you in just a minute.
This segment brought to you by Farm Bureau, a grassroots ag organization representing the state's farmers and ranchers since 1919. KFB.org. Oldie Seed Farms, carrying soil-specific seed. Find them on the web at oldieseed.com. That's OHLDE seed.com. Grass and Grain, online or in the mail, keeping Kansas farmers informed for over 60 years. Grassandgrain.com. Kansas Wheat Commission, leaders in the adoption of profitable innovations for wheat. Online at kswheat.com.
Thanks for staying with us. We're at the KDA office over in Manhattan, and we're talking about international trade, and that's what you do here at the state, is you handle international trade for the state of Kansas. And by the time this airs, like you said, by the time this airs, you guys are probably almost into Mexico.
Yep. We have a trade mission today, the 24th, that's heading into Mexico. We're partnering with the U.S. Grains Council, and then again, it's State Trade and Export Promotion Program through the Small Business Administration. And we're taking producers into Mexico who have an interest in corn and corn byproducts, distillers' grains, and ethanol. One thing that's important to know about Mexico as a country is the fuel system. So the gas pumps that are in the Mexican market are going through deregulation. So now companies can go in, and an ethanol blend is something that's possible going forward. So historically, Mexico has owned all the gas stations, but now that is changing, which is good for us because it opens opportunities for ethanol and ethanol blends to enter the Mexican market for fuel.
And there's 17 ethanol plants here in the state of Kansas.
Yep.
So it's potentially big business for us. Distillers' grains also a very big business for us in the state of Kansas.
Yep, absolutely. And just as a reminder, Mexico is such a good trade partner. Last year they were our #1 trade partner, and they imported over $841 million worth of agriculture commodities from our state.
Yep. Does that include not only commodities, but tractors and things like that, parts or genetics and all that other stuff?
Yep. So this is the agriculture commodities. Okay. The agricultural equipment piece is tracked through manufacturing. Okay. Gotcha. So that's not necessarily tracked as an agriculture commodity.
So what are you hoping to get from the Mexico trip?
Maintaining trade relationships. Okay. As a state, we really want to be able to tell our partners globally thank you and how much we appreciate their partnerships. The partnerships take years and years and years to develop within trade. And our farmers and ranchers see it this year with a lot of grain on the ground. We don't necessarily have a large number of outlets to absorb the surplus that we have. So when trade negotiations, when trade partnerships are being negotiated, it's important for us to take our producers into countries so they're meeting with those end buyers who are buying our products or making the buying decisions, and let our producers really tell them thank you and how much their purchases and our trade partnerships matter to communities all across our state.
And real quick, we've got a trip coming up to Brazil and China.
Yep.
And go to the KDA website if you would like to attend one of those trips and find all the information you need. You're watching Kansas Ag Report, and we'll see you in just a minute. If you would like to advertise your business on Kansas Ag Report, give us a call, 785-5 580-3287.
From the earliest pioneer days, agriculture has always been at the foundation of the Kansas economy and the Kansas spirit. Hi, I'm Heather Lansdowne, Director of Communications at the Kansas Department of Agriculture, and I'm proud to be an advocate for the Kansas agricultural community. In honor of Kansas' largest industry, employer, and economic driver, the month of March has been proclaimed by Governor Sam Brownback as Kansas Agriculture Month. In addition, Tuesday, March 21st has been declared Kansas Agriculture Day. We hope that you will join us as we recognize the hardworking men and women in agriculture, and as we raise awareness that the crops and animals raised on farms and ranches in Kansas are feeding Kansas families, as well as providing healthy, wholesome food to families around the world. Kansas Agriculture Month kicked off on March 2nd with the start of the Neighbor to Neighbor statewide food drive, a collaboration with Dillon's Food Stores and 3 food banks in Kansas. Watch for the Neighbor to Neighbor collection barrels and Dillon's throughout the month of March, or donate online via our virtual food drive. You can celebrate Kansas Agriculture Month in your own communities. You'll find event ideas, promotional materials, and educational resources on our website, agriculture.ks.gov/KSAgDay. That same pioneer spirit that converted Kansas from a vast sea of grassland into a major producer of our nation's food supply lives on today as we seek new opportunities for growth throughout the Kansas agriculture industry. Join us as KDA celebrates the past and the future of agriculture during Kansas Agriculture Month this March.
According to Dallas Peterson, weed management specialist for K-State Research and Extension, the unseasonably warm temperatures off and on during February and early March have caused wheat to green up and begin spring growth a little earlier than normal in parts of Kansas. Producers should pay close attention to the growth stage of their wheat before making their herbicide applications. Dicamba can be applied to wheat between the 2-leaf and jointing stages of wheat. Application of dicamba after wheat reaches the jointing stage of growth causes severe prostrate growth of wheat and significant risk of yield loss. Dicamba is effective for control of kochia, Russian thistle, and wild buckwheat, but is not good for control of mustard species. MCPA and 2,4-D have different application guidelines. In general, MCPA is safer on wheat than 2,4-D, especially when applied prior to tillering. It's recommended that 2,4-D not be applied to wheat until it's well tillered in the spring. 2,4-D is labeled for application to wheat from the full tiller stage until prior to the boot stage of growth, but is probably safest between full tiller and jointing stages of growth. To achieve higher yields, producers must focus on achieving uniformity of distribution across wheat fields. For more information on input applications, check out K-State Research and Extension's Agronomy e-Update for the latest in wheat management recommendations and crop condition updates.
This segment brought to you by Farm Bureau, a grassroots ag organization representing the state's farmers and ranchers since 1919. KFB.org. Oldie Seed Farms, carrying soil-specific seed. Find them on the web at oldieseed.com. That's OHLDE seed.com. Grass and Grain, online or in the mail, keeping Kansas farmers informed for over 60 years. Grassandgrain.com. Kansas Wheat Commission, leaders in the adoption of profitable innovations for wheat. Online at kswheat.com.
Premier Farm and Home has what you need to make your lawn the best in the neighborhood.
Hi, I'm Ken. We choose Premier Farm and Home for the professional look that we do ourselves.
Feel free to stop in. You can also visit our website at heycow.com.
I will take action against herbicide-resistant weeds. I will know my weeds, and I will stop them before they go to seed. I will do whatever it takes to give my crops the upper hand, and I will use multiple herbicide sites of action because every action counts. I will take action, this time for all time.
You need a partner that you can count on to be there for your business, providing a depth of understanding to risk management issues so you don't have to. A knowledgeable support team located in your area, delivering products and services to make you more successful.
The producer-funded Kansas Wheat Innovation Center was built to get improved varieties into the hands of farmers faster. Kansas Wheat, farmers advancing their future through wheat genetics research.
Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture, represents grassroots agriculture. The state's largest and most powerful farm organization stands up for its members through leadership development, agriculture education, legal defense, environmental advocacy, farm safety, and risk management. Members also enjoy money-saving benefits. To join our organization today or to learn more, go to www.kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
This Medford, New Jersey school bus runs on biodiesel, and so do these. In fact, all of these buses run on clean-burning biodiesel, which is great because the more we use biodiesel in our heavy-duty vehicles, the less carbon pollution in our air. Think how great it would be if more of our school buses ran on biodiesel. More biodiesel, less carbon pollution. More is less. Biodiesel, America's advanced biofuel.
Imagine having someone help you pick the best corn hybrids for every field on your farm. Your Oldie representative can combine your data with his data to offer a field-by-field prescription. Contact Oldie Seed today at 877-692-4555.
Ranchers affected by wildfire in Kansas this spring could be eligible for payments through various USDA disaster programs. The Livestock Indemnity Program will provide benefits to producers for livestock death losses in excess of normal mortality caused by adverse weather, which includes wildfire. The Emergency Assistance for Livestock Program will provide limited benefits to producers for livestock, feed, and grazing resources lost due to wildfires. Cost share assistance up to 75% will be available to restore livestock fences through the Emergency Conservation Program. To get the most benefit from ECP, landowners should contact their local Farm Service Agency office before rebuilding fence. ECP has been requested by and is expected to be approved in at least 14 Kansas counties. To be eligible for any of these programs, ranchers should immediately notify their local FSA office of livestock, fence, and feed losses. The key to qualifying is documentation. USDA recommends photographs, video, or veterinary records to verify losses. Purchase, production, and financial records could serve as additional documentation. For more information on any of these programs, click on the link at kla.org or call the KLA office in Topeka. Meanwhile, donations continue to be accepted through the Kansas Livestock Foundation, KLA's charitable arm, at kla.org. Monetary donations to the foundation are tax-deductible and will be used to assist ranchers affected by wildfire.
Good morning. I'm Eric Oosterhouse with Paragon Ag Advisors. We've had a couple of news items to discuss this last week, the first being the March USDA supply and demand report. The report basically confirmed what most had been expecting, larger supplies of old crop corn, plus an excellent bean crop that we're seeing down there in South America. The second news event, which I feel might have a larger impact in the longer term, is actually the Fed decision to raise interest rates. They're predicting 2 further interest rate increases here in 2017 and 3 rate hikes in 2018. On the surface, this wouldn't be viewed as friendly to the ag space, as a higher dollar generally would serve to make us less competitive in the global markets, as well as cool the overall interest in the commodity space. At the moment, these news events seem to be generating more discussion than other more fundamental factors such as acres and weather. We've been watching the drought monitor and have seen a change over the last 90 days. The trend has been to the dry side of the equation, and the drought map is showing this. However, it's early in the growing season and much of this news will likely be discounted, at least for the short time, and would only need a good soaking rain to take away most of the short-term concern. Winter wheat is currently rated 23% poor to very poor, in large part due to these dry conditions. With the least amount of winter wheat acres in over 100 years, any weather uncertainties or headlines might cause more concern than normal. If you have any questions on markets or marketing strategies, call Paragon today at 888-452-8751. Have a productive day.
Closed captioning brought to you by
The Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers. KansasSoybeans.org.
Ag Risk Solutions. Experience, knowledge, integrity. Your crop insurance solution, Ag Risk Solutions. Kansas Wheat Commission. Leaders in the adoption of profitable innovations for wheat. Online at kswheat.com. Kansas Livestock Association. Supporting our members' business interests to meet consumers' demands. KLA.org.
Well, that's our show for today. I hope you'll join us each week for more news and information about agriculture in the state of Kansas. I'm Brian Holman, and thanks for watching.
I will take action against herbicide-resistant weeds. I will know my weeds, and I will stop them before they go to seed. I will do whatever it takes to give my crops the upper hand, and I will use multiple herbicide sites of action because every action counts. I will take action, this time for all time.
Imagine having someone help you pick the best corn hybrids for every field on your farm. Your Oldie representative can combine your data with his data to offer a field-by-field prescription. Contact Oldie Seed today at 877-692-4555.
Premier Farm and Home has what you need to make your lawn the best in the neighborhood.
Hi, I'm Ken. We choose Premier Farm and Home for the professional look that we do ourselves.
Feel free to stop in. You can also visit our website at heycow.com.
The producer-funded Kansas Wheat Innovation Center was built to get improved varieties into the hands of farmers faster. Kansas Wheat, farmers advancing their future through wheat genetics research.